Okay, let's just dive right into this highly requested explainer. We're unpacking Simon Sinek's totally paradigm-shifting book, Start With Why. If you've ever found yourself wondering why certain organizations just command this fierce, almost irrational loyalty while others are constantly struggling, fighting it out over pennies and features, well, you are definitely in the right place.
To really get how great leaders inspire everyone to take action, we basically have to completely rewire how we view motivation. And that starts right at the source material. Start With Why isn't just another dry management book. It's a deep dive into human behavior and what actually drives us to commit, like really commit, to a cause, a company, or a movement.
The central theme of this whole concept is brilliantly captured in this quote. There are leaders and there are those who lead. Leaders hold a position of power or influence. Those who lead inspire us. It hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? We follow true leaders not because someone is forcing us to, but for ourselves. We're not doing it for them, we're following because we deeply want to. It's a completely different dynamic than just wielding authority.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Inspiration versus Manipulation. 2 ways to motivate.
Look, organizations basically have 2 ways to get you to do something. Manipulations, think threatening punishments or dangling discounts and carrots, they can absolutely drive short-term transactions. I mean, General Motors sold the most cars in the world for over 77 years using exactly these tactics. But it didn't exactly buy them long-term stability, did it? While manipulation gets a transaction, only inspiration builds that dogged, unshakable loyalty. Inspired people act out of a sense of purpose and belonging. They will literally pay premiums, endure massive inconveniences, and just completely ignore logically better offers from competitors, all because their motivation is deeply personal.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Golden Circle, a new perspective.
At the very outside of Sinek's Golden Circle is the what. Every single organization on the planet knows what they do. It's the absolute easiest thing to articulate because it's just the tangible result of your actions. If you're a car company, you sell cars. If you're Apple, you build computers and phones. Everyone has 100% matter-of-fact clarity on their what.
Now step 1 ring inward, and we find the how. Some organizations know how they do what they do. These are your unique value propositions, your proprietary systems, or those specific differentiating principles that guide your work. It's basically the internal process that actually makes your what possible.
But here is the real kicker, the why. Think about your own organization for a second. Can you easily articulate your why? Honestly, very, very few people or companies can. And to be clear, it's not about making money. Making money is just a result. Your why is your cause. It's your core belief. It's the literal reason you drag yourself out of bed every morning. And it is exactly where truly inspiring companies, like Apple, begin all of their communication. They don't start from the outside in, they start from the inside out. They start with why.
Which brings us to Section 3. This is not opinion. This is biology.
Okay, if you're thinking this all sounds like some fluffy, soft management theory, get ready, because this is wild. The Golden Circle maps perfectly to actual human brain biology. Our what maps directly to the neocortex, the newest part of the brain, which handles rational thought, analytical data, and language. But our how and our why, they map to the limbic brain. The limbic brain controls all of our feelings, things like trust and loyalty, and, incredibly, it controls all human decision-making. But here's the catch, and this is huge. The limbic brain has absolutely zero capacity for language. This is exactly why it's so incredibly hard to put our deepest feelings into words. It's why we struggle to explain why we love our partners, and we ultimately just shrug and say, I don't know, it just feels right.
Because actual decision-making happens in that limbic brain, just spouting off facts, figures, and features is never going to drive behavior as powerfully as communicating a shared belief. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When you speak to the why, you are talking directly to the exact part of the brain that controls behavior, which then allows the neocortex to rationalize the decision later with all those handy facts.
All right, Section 4, Trust and the Megaphone, Building the Infrastructure. So a big question is, how do we take this biological reality and scale it up into a massive, successful organization? Because you can't just have one visionary leader talking to a few people in a tiny room forever. You need infrastructure. Sinek visualizes a company like a megaphone or a 3D cone. The visionary leader sits at the very top, providing the why, the clear vision. But they absolutely cannot do it alone. Right below them are the builders, the senior executives who figure out how to actually get there. They build the systems. And then, at the wide bottom base of the megaphone are the products, the what. Those tangible products act as the megaphone itself, loudly and clearly projecting the leader's core belief out into the world.
Let's look at this dynamic in action, because it's fascinating. For every charismatic visionary who can imagine the destination, there has to be a brilliant builder who finds the actual route. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had the dream, right? He provided the why. But Ralph Abernathy, his close partner, was the builder who knew how to make it tangible. Abernathy was the one on the ground saying, "Don't ride those buses," organizing the literal logistics of the civil rights movement. You absolutely need both of these roles to change the world.
Next up, Section 5, Surviving the Split, when why goes fuzzy.
Now, this perfect harmony of why and how is actually incredibly fragile. Sign it calls the danger zone the split. When a company is founded, the why is crystal clear because the founder is right there, interacting with everyone. But as the company grows, the focus naturally shifts to scaling the what, mass-producing the products or services. Eventually, the organization gets so big that the leader is physically removed from the market, and the company hits the split. The why goes completely fuzzy. They forget why they were even founded in the first place, and they become obsessed solely with what they produce and their bottom-line results.
We can see this play out perfectly with Microsoft's evolution. They started with this crystal clear why from Bill Gates, empowering people's potential through tools, the whole "a PC on every desk" vision. But as Gates stepped back to pursue his foundation, Microsoft shifted. Their focus moved away from empowering human potential to simply dominating the software market. They became obsessed with their what. The end result? A fuzzy why, a total loss of their inspirational core, and an eventual reliance on manipulating the market with tactics rather than inspiring it with vision.
Finally, Section 6, Discovering Your Why, a process of looking back.
Which brings us to the ultimate question for all of us. How do you find your why? Well, you can't just invent a why in some corporate boardroom brainstorm, and you definitely can't hire an ad agency to write one for you. Finding your why is a process of discovery, not invention. You actually have to look backward. You look at your upbringing, your pivotal life experiences, and the core patterns that define you, or the earliest days of your organization. Your why is already there, you just have to do the work to uncover it.
And once you find it, you need the discipline to stick to it and the consistency to show it in literally everything you do. When you achieve that, something amazing happens. You completely stop obsessing over your competitors. Instead, you start asking, what if we showed up to work every day simply to be better than ourselves? You start competing against yourself, constantly striving to bring your calls to life more effectively today than you did yesterday.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a real challenge. Think about it. Are you just competing, manipulating the market with your what? Or do you have the courage to dig deep, uncover your ultimate purpose, and truly inspire? Finding that answer might just be the most important work you ever do.